very shortly. Five, four, three, two, and one. A very good day to everyone over here. And this is Dalen, the founder and general manager at Curious Core. And we are here today with a very special guest. Her name is Cadence Cheng. She's one of our instructors as well as a career coach. And we are getting her in today to talk about how AI is affecting jobs and how you as a professional should prepare for a job in the age of AI as companies are looking for employees with AI, Gen AI skills. And this is a break from our usual dialogue, talking about product management, product design. But I feel that the special webinar session is warranted because we're seeing an increase in the jobs being disrupted in the market itself. We're also seeing many of our clients looking to rethink their hiring strategy, looking to look into venues of actually progressing and building their internal capabilities using technology and driving their own internal digital transformation. So I'm really glad to have you over here, Cadence. And just to share a little bit about Cadence background, Cadence, before she became a career coach and a trainer, she was a product manager for a number of years, working for companies like Daras, which is under Alibaba, working for Shopee, which is one of the unicorns here in Southeast Asia, as well as Zalora as well. And we've both been in the e-commerce sector, so we understand how intense that could be. She has now left that past life, but she continues to contribute her experience to our corporate clients as well as the students that she's working through at Curious Core. So, Cadence, welcome to the show. How's it going?
Thank you, Dylan. It's going great. I would say that you recapped some of the key things that I've been through, and I always have a very deep love for tech because it's always changing, and there's so many things that you can do from there. So I'm glad to be part of training Curious Core students as well as dabbling into all the different things I'm doing now.
Yeah, I think it's excellent because we always want to bring professionals who are current in the industry, but also has the heart to help people to grow. And I know you have a lot of heart in helping professionals to land in roles that are aligned to them, right? Having gone through a lot of tech gigs yourself and a lot of different companies, where you're facing a very high tempo type of work. So I'm just wondering today, as you're helping your clients, to reduce mental overload, to build a more sustainable way of working and living through the work that you do, right? Whether it's with Curious or with your own practice, which is Clarity for Growth. What are you observing, like in this age of AI, what are people sort of being bothered by, or what are they concerned about? Is there a general anxiety about AI taking over my job and stuff like that?
Mm. So, like you mentioned, with AI coming up, there are actually a lot of emotions floating in the space. There are people who are very excited about it. They are like, hardcore studying, researching, and leveling up their skill sets. There's also some groups of people who are being caught in the middle of all of these, and they are a bit like fearful and anxious. They'll be like, okay, should I upskill? But they don't know what they want to upskill for, and their intention is not clear. They are just upskilling for the sake of upskilling. So there is also a certain trend that is driven by the anxiety, as well as
Mm,
all the layoff news. Obviously, that's not going to help. With many big tech laying off so many people, like hundreds of people last year, like Meta, etc. So definitely, it can create that question in people's mind of whether they will still be relevant or not. So that's the general space that people are in right now that I observe.
mm. I think it's good to address some of these specific emotions that are out there. When you're working with your clients, when you're coaching them, or when you're talking to some of our students, how are you approaching these conversations, right? Because from what I understand, there's a lot of layoffs, especially in the technology sector. There's not a lot of opportunities for junior people. We see some jobs being offshored to other companies as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just trying to see, what are the common concerns, and how are you helping your clients, or how are you helping some of our students to navigate this?
Mm. So I would say that with AI coming up, it means that the repetitive work is going to get replaced. And what that means is that the higher level skills, or like your thinking abilities, your creative abilities, your abilities to also simple things like communication and articulating your thoughts is going to be a lot more sought after. And your ability to do systems thinking, the ability to use AI to help adjust your system workflows is going to be super critical as well. Yeah. So what I do for my clients right now is that sometimes we will actually need to see where the fit is in terms of the roles that are available versus their own skills. Um, what I tend to see is that generally the tech sales is still moving fast, even though people are getting laid off and all, you can secure a job role quite quickly. The more challenging ones be slightly more on the uh product manager side and the UX side and the marketing side, because you start to see that product marketing, UX and project are sort of becoming one role as as you go around seeing that. So that's what I'm observing, and more of like how can one position themselves such that they can fit what the company is looking for. And the company usually is looking for a certain context where either they are fast scaling or they expect someone with experience to lead a team, or the capability of what skill sets you already have. So those are the two things that I would say is that.
Yeah. And as a tech professional yourself, right, in the past, how are you, what is your advice to someone, right, who, let's say, got laid off recently, or is still struggling to land a role in tech itself? Yeah, I wonder if you have a similar experience in the past, right? Especially maybe during COVID, or downtimes during the tech industry.
Hmm. So I would say that in terms of still looking for a role in tech, um, the important thing is to really see what is the type of person you are versus the roles that you're going for. So, for example, I see myself more as a connector. So naturally, the roles that I look for is going to be a lot more about bridging from, like, say like the designers to the engineers, etc. Which is why I was a product manager, and that allowed me to be in a good space to move. But if someone's interest is a lot more it's a lot less about talking to people, but more of like building and hardcore skilling in that area, or hardcore trying and get fulfillment from that, then that is something that one might want to look at in terms of like, is that is there a misfit in terms of their inclination versus the role? Generally speaking, I've heard many good things from I have a few friends who actually went to Curious Course UX conversion program, and they actually got roles there and they are super happy. So that was something that I was very impressed by as well.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. But I'll also be very honest, the good times of UX is probably not a good time right now. As many companies are actively looking to hire in other countries, as well as are not hiring junior roles, or being open to mid-career transitioners as openly as before. But I'm glad that we are still able to help our students to land a tech related role, and to help them grow into the career that they want to take on. Um, how do you think someone should think about all of these, right? Knowing that AI is going to become increasingly important, just like learning how to use a computer. But there is also so much noise, and people are saying, "Hey, go and learn this, go and learn this, go and learn that." What would be your advice as a career coach? to strategize and approach, to be more deliberate about preparing oneself to have their next career. Yeah.
Mm. I would say there are two buckets I will split it into. So there's of course the technical side. So people who are crazy about data, who wants to learn how to the backs and forth of building a system and models and what's not. Then there is definitely a technical route for them, and they can go deeper into that. On a day-to-day user, since like you mentioned, right, AI is going to be like a computer. Eventually, everyone is just going to key into a chatbot. I mean, and find their answer. So then there is another the non-technical side where you are interested in application. And of course, at application level, yeah, there can be many different layers also. So the application layer, you could be just, from a personal level, you just draft your emails, do your contents. Then after that, there is at the function level, where let's say you can do ads that is auto-generated and optimized by AI, for example. And then after that, the third level is that at a cross-functional level, can you create an AI system automation that actually go across different departments? Yeah. So then these layers in itself depends on your ability to be able to see and participate in that. And I would say that everyone will need to know AI. It's just at what level do they need to do it at? And every company's expectation moving forward would be that you have some sort of ability to improve the workflow with whatever systems that is there, whether AI or not. Yeah. So
Mm.
that you still need to be able to see what is the type of work and dynamic that you want to work at. Is it at the cross-functional level? Is it within a certain function? And you can be super good at using AI to code or making sure that the system does not break because the AI suggests a certain code, right? So then it really depends on the way that where you want to participate at. You're muted. Sorry.
So so I understand you've been through actually some of our Gen AI courses yourself as an instructor, and you do vibe code and do build your own applications. Um, do you think this is like an essential skill that you know people should acquire? And if it is, where would they fit based on the model that you just shared? Yeah.
Hmm. I would say that the first thing first, right? Learning this will actually reduce a lot of anxiety and fear that you have towards AI. Like you feel like, oh, this is so complicated. I don't know how to do any of this. But in actual fact, having a working model to allow you to see that you can actually build something. Also, I had a friend who actually went to the recent AI module, and she was so pleased that she was able to automate one of her process. And that gave her a lot of confidence to say that, oh, I want to now, further deepen that. So at the confidence level, at the making yourself more at peace level, I think this is useful. On another level, I would say it is essential when you are looking at really like wanting to show up as a professional who knows AI. Yeah, which is important moving forward. And being a professional who knows AI, right, and being able to build certain things and knowing the thinking behind it, it will actually allow you to move a lot faster or show up a lot as a valuable member in the team. Yeah. So if you're able
Yeah.
to even think through that whole process of knowing that this is what happens, then everyone will be more integrated and actually the teams may get smaller. But anyway, at least you are the one controlling the automation versus that you're being automated out of the system, right? So
Mm,
yeah.
yeah. So I think that's been a recent report that's just released a couple of days ago that Singapore is seeing AI skill demand doubling from the last 3 years, right? Year on year. So and job postings requiring AI skills have surged by 109% from 2024 to 2025. So this is actually based on Singapore's data, which was recently announced at the Skills Future conference a couple of days ago. So I think it really corroborates with what you have shared, right? Organizations are looking for individuals with AI skills, but it's also up to the individual to decide how technical do I want to go with
Yes.
this AI skills. Do I want to just learn from engineering, or do I want to actually go really deep, learn about data, learn about coding, and using AI agents to do all of these things, and be perhaps even an AI engineer. right? Which is definitely a very in demand job at the moment. So I think this is very very exciting. Um, so I also understand, Cadence, you are a mid-career professional yourself, right? You did a conversion from marketing to product management. So I was just wondering from your own experience, like, do you have any advice for individuals who are doing a career conversion? Because it seems this year, 2025, seems like the year of career conversion, right? I'm rethinking about my job. It's the age of AI. Maybe I should do something else. So
Mm.
just wanted you to maybe share some of your own personal experience and how did you navigate it back then? Yeah.
Mm. I can share the story of how I navigated from marketing to product. The reason why I was able to do that relatively smoothly was because I saw the idea that marketing and product are two functions that are very, very complementary. So I come from that lens. Like if you want to be able to do marketing, you might I wanted to market for a product that I love. And then in order to market a product that I love, I need to build that product. So then that's where the whole vision of that product and marketing combination is at. So when I went to the interview, I was very clear that I wanted to be in the CRM function because I cared a lot about people's experience as they go through the funnel or journey of a company. So then that's when I had data about like, oh, I really love CRM and that I don't like the very intense campaigns life because I was from e-commerce, right? But I love the curating of that experience. So then that's when I was able to put that forward and having that clear idea of what I want. Then the product and marketing functions are two different skill sets that I wanted to build that was beside each other. So then it became natural for me to do that. So in the case of let's say AI right now, AI is actually complementary with a lot of different things. So then that's when you can start to see how AI, let's say I'm from marketing function, then how can AI help marketing? If I'm from a tech function, how does AI help tech my tech workflow, for example? So then I would say that's what I would share with people who are actually looking to transit.
Mm. Thanks for sharing. So it sounds like it's very important to be aware what are the transferable skills, as well as how you can be of value to your new employer as you're doing these skills. Did you happen to take a pay cut when you were doing this transition? In fact, you got a pay rise.
Yeah,
Am I
yeah,
correct?
yeah, yeah, I
Yeah.
did.
So that's quite interesting that you were able to persuade the employer that, hey, you can do a product role in a new company. I had a very similar experience to you as well, where I actually got a pay bump doing product, and it took me a while to ease into the role. I kind of wish there were more structured training programs back then that help to improve product management skills, which is what we're
Mm,
covering these days. So, just being back on the agenda itself, how should we rethink about our careers? Because it seems like the general national narrative, at least for Singapore, is that, hey, upskilling never stops, right? You have to upskill your entire career. You have to keep improving yourself, and keep adapting to the times. Uh, and it feels almost like people are not just going to reinvent their career once in their entire work career lifetime, but
mhm.
actually multiple times, right? So I'm wondering from your perspective as a career coach, how should we look at our own careers? Yeah.
Mm. So I would say in terms of our own careers, right? I've always been on a camp that it's very important to know who you are and what your skills are. Okay, meaning that if let's say I am someone who really love efficiency, so I all my use cases for AI are like, how can this help me generate content faster? How can I use this to automate and make my life easier? So then that in itself became a core identity that I start to have as someone in the someone who is working, right? So same thing, right? If let's say you really love improving customer experience, and then how can you use AI or be an expert in that area to help you be good at that particular function and AI? So I would say that at the end of the day, it will be things would keep shifting, but if you are able to have some fundamental skill sets that allows you to learn very quickly, that's number one. And then number two is like having some product thinking where you're able to see how different functions work together to how the business work together to serve the customers. And also like how do you actually move forward in ambiguity? I think those are some of the key things that you really need to embody as a person. And then skill sets wise, then it's really being open and then being open to learn all the different prototyping skills and having being okay with portfolios, which I think is one of the in things nowadays, also having a portfolio career. So that's when like you're doing multiple different things and that you have a understanding of each of them and being good at them, obviously. And
Yeah.
that is important. So choosing a space where you can actually excel in.
I'm also reading a news clip a couple of days ago that, the portfolio career is definitely very, very popular at the moment, but also side hustle is a very, very popular thing
Mm,
where people are doing an extra gig economy kind of job,
yeah.
like being a DJ or teaching, right? Like
Mm,
training, or even giving tuition, right? Or something like that.
yeah.
So I'm just wondering from your own experience how like I believe people do it for different reasons. Some people do it out of necessity because they want a higher income. But how would you say how can we be more deliberate about designing our career?
Mm,
I also noted that you switch your career twice now. First time is from marketing to product, and now I would say from product to training and career coaching. Yeah,
yes,
so
yes.
just wondering your own experience as well.
Mm. So in terms of side hustle, my personal advice or recommendation is that choose something that you can stick to for the long term. So for me, I did my coaching since 2018 at the side on top of my full-time career as a product manager. So then that in itself is like 7 years of accumulation of experience of honing my skill set before I can say that, okay, I'm going to do this full time and see what happens, right? So then choose something that you really want to devote your time and energy to because you already have your full-time job. You're very tired by the end of the day when you get home or the weekends. You want to really spend something that really excites you. I have known of people who did his side hustle. It's super amazing. He before the Figma AI became very popular, he actually did a plugin that integrates AI prompting into the wireframing. So then he did. I was so impressed with what he did. And that was an effort of every week he go and came at McDonald's to go and write the code for it with his friend. Right. So then that in itself is really like what is something that you're willing to devote to that is going to be useful to you in time to come. Like you can see yourself doing it for a longer term.
So let's kind of expand this on the key concept of portfolio career, right? So first of all, maybe you can share what is a portfolio career, but I think it's also kind of somewhat related to what we are talking about just now, right? Like building
Mm,
a portfolio for yourself that future proofs your career. Yeah, so
mm,
maybe you can start with a definition explanation.
mm. So a portfolio career involves like managing multiple income streams. So you can have a freelancing, you can have consulting, you can have part-time roles, or you can have board positions. So you are doing all of this simultaneously rather than relying on one full-time job. So that is the idea of a portfolio career, which is something that I am exploring at the moment as well. It does increase your flexibility, autonomy, and stuff like that, but you definitely need to accumulate a certain level of skills before you are able to jump into this. Yeah. So those who have had maybe like you're the uh director of product, director of like tech, CTO, etc., then you can have that base to work from, for example. Yeah.
Thanks for sharing the definition. I think it's kind of somewhat related to what we are talking about because as you were mentioning, if we are to be deliberate about our side hustles and if we are to be also conscious about how we pivot our careers or to switch our careers, then we have to accept that perhaps it is also a good diversification type of strategy uh, to number one, build case studies, build a portfolio of projects and work that we have done
Mm,
throughout our career, right? That are somewhat complementary and interrelated, right? But it's maybe not the main thing, right? So we're diversifying and we're hedging our risks in this case. But number two, also being willing to accept that at some point in our career that we may perhaps end up a little bit like you right now, right? Where we're actually, instead of using one income source to generate income, where we have a stable job, right, so to
Mm,
speak, but we're actually having different gigs together
mm,
to sort of like help us with our livelihood, right? And actually, we're building in some way. We're actually strengthening the portfolio. So yeah, I'm just wondering, is this something that you're also seeing your clients adopt, and especially right now with the economy not being at its best, right? There's a lot
mm,
of layoffs, the macroeconomics, people are not spending as much as they used to. Yeah,
mm.
just wondering what are your observations?
So generally, my clients would find a full-time job first, right? So the full-time job
Mm,
in itself secures the base. The Maslow hierarchy of needs is the bottom of the pyramid, and then they make sure that is handled. So if that is not handled, you will not have time to go and want to do a side hustle. You want to go and learn a new skill. You don't have the capacity and space to do it. So securing that base is very, very, very important. Unless you are like some who are super crazy hungry and you're like, I'm gonna make this work, then yeah, sure. But not everyone is like that. So I would say that I would say that that in itself comes with having a foundation to work from. And some people will actually do something different to complement what they cannot find at work. So for example, let's say their work
mm,
is very mundane. So like it's like the same old thing. They're so super familiar with it and it gives them a cushy income. Okay. And that's something important for them. They have children, they have family to feed. Important. So then on the side, maybe they'll be like, okay, let me go and explore this teaching thing because that gives them a sense of fulfillment, for example. So then there are different people having different combinations to fulfill different needs that they want. Yeah. And of course, there are some other people who are a little bit more practical and is very essential is that, let's say in my job right now, there's nothing to do with AI, but AI is an important skill. If not, I'll get replaced by an AI coach in the future, right? So I still need to know what is happening in the AI industry. And that is something that from the practical lens, I need to handle. Yeah.
mm.
Like knowing the growth, knowing what's happening, etc.
Yeah. And thank you for sharing some of these pointers that you have. And I noticed that you are actually mentioning for maybe the third or fourth time about alignment, right? Especially internal alignment. So I'm just wondering, since you are a certified coach, right, under ICF, International Coaching Federation, I'm just wondering what are some powerful questions that maybe for our audience members, maybe one or two powerful questions that people should be asking to have alignment and fulfillment in what they are doing at work.
Mm. I think one question would be, what is something that makes you come alive? That's the
Mm,
first question.
mm.
Yeah, I mean, you want to do something that excites you and then you want to wake up for, and then you're like, okay, I'm willing to go for work another day just to do this, for example.
So it's
And
very,
it,
very reflective. You have to really think back what makes you come alive.
yeah, you can just, some people are more feeling people, you can feel the answer as well. You will not love
Mm,
100% of your job. I mean, that's why
mm,
some people go out and venture on their own because they can build that 100% that they love, but it's still not 100% that they love, right? I mean, you are doing that as a business owner, but there's still the parts that you do not love.
mm.
Yeah,
Certainly.
yeah. So
And
that's the
and one
majority of it.
so knowing let's say I know the answer to that
Mm-hmm.
question, right? Let's
Yes.
say I say, hey, I think I went through a very similar process myself because I was like, hey, teaching makes me come alive. Right?
Yeah.
So I got to that answer. What's another question that I should be asking to maybe help me to take action, right? Or help me to discover or go in the right direction, whether it's like signing up for a course, whether it's, going out there and talking to the right people. Yeah. What might be another question? Let's say I
Mm.
know the answer to that.
The shortened, condensed question is, what is it that you need to handle in order for this dream or position to come true?
Mm. Wow, I love that. That is a powerful question. Wow.
Yeah, there's a lot packed
What do
into
I
that
need to
question.
handle?
Yeah.
There's so much in the question, right? I mean, if I were to unpack it, it sounds like a bit of it is related to fear, a bit of it is related to the skill set, and maybe even a bit of it is related to, you know, the opportunities and the possibilities, right? So
Yes,
it
yes,
sounds like
yes.
there's a lot to unpack over there. Wow.
Correct, correct. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So there's a lot packed into that question. You're right. And the areas that you're mentioning is the three areas that usually people stop halfway. That's why they don't get the answer. Maybe they just say, oh, I'm
Mm,
fearful that I have no money. Then they stop there instead of saying that, what are the other options I can see? Or are there job opportunities out there? Can I talk to somebody, right? Yeah, so people stop somewhere. That's why they don't get the full picture.
yeah. So I think there's a lot of deer in the headlight kind of syndrome where it's like because of fearfulness or because of certain um mental blocks or
Mm.
even actual blocks, right? Maybe not having the support of a family
Yes.
member to
Mm.
pursue these, then it becomes a non action, right? So rather than actually doing it right now, it becomes delayed or it becomes like put off to the future.
Mm.
Um, and I believe it's a process, right? Sometimes you have to work with someone who is very objective about your situation. It's not personal, like a coach like yourself,
Mm.
to actually be able to see that for yourself. I'm glad that you mentioned some of these questions because it really makes me think back about the time where I switched my careers and also uh, made a decision whether to become an entrepreneur. Yeah.
Yeah, that's very
So
brave. Very brave.
thank you. So I'm just wondering, as a professional, we don't only talk about skill sets, right? Because skill set is, yeah, I know that skills future, there's like, oh, you know, go and upskill and stuff like that. But I think at Curious Core, we also believe that mindset is very, very important. So what do you what other, I think you mentioned something about adaptability earlier, but other than adaptability, what are the other types of mindset that a professional today should adopt, right? Given this environment, right? Given this kind of like economic climate, yeah. What kind of mindset should we adopt to thrive in this sort of macroeconomic environment?
Mm. When you ask this question, the first thing that comes to my mind is the openness to learn. But I feel like
Mm,
openness is also not enough. Like you need to be willing and love to learn to a certain extent. Like you imagine like your management comes and tell you that, oh yeah, we're gonna include another AI tool, and then you're like, huh, again, so instead of that, right? Like then how can you really like embrace the process a little bit more? I think that is something that is critical to keep moving forward. If you want to be in the tech industry that is changing whatsoever,
mm.
that's one. Yeah. Another one
But
that I
even
would
if
say
you're
is
not, yeah,
yeah,
go on.
yeah. So the other one is a lot more of like I think self-care. I think this is understated because everyone keeps saying you should do more, you should do more. But at the end of the day, when you're burnt out and your tank is empty, you cannot do anything. Even if you go for the
Mm.
course, you are just not listening. Then what's the point of going for that? So I would say that is something that is like really, really important to just chill a bit.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay. I think that makes a lot of sense, right? You have to be adaptable and willing to learn. I think that's always been encouraged. We've always been taught to upskill, to learn, to be curious. But I think the harder part is actually taking care of oneself and actually finding joy and finding life in what we are doing. Especially given the very fast pace here in Singapore and the high tempo work that we
Mm,
do here.
mm.
So let's elaborate more on self-care, right? What are, other than pleasure, other than enjoying yourself, how should we approach self-care to, especially as a mid-career professional, especially someone who is in a transition phase right now?
Mm. So this is the model is something that I learned from the coaching school I was learning coaching from Executive Coach International. So what I actually learned from there is that there is the physical side of things where we care about, like we go for massage or whatsoever to make ourselves feel physically better. That's one. Or some people like to go exercise, running, gym, whatsoever. So that helps. Then there's also the intellectual side as well as the emotional self-care that we need to take care of. So for example, if you are thinking the whole day at work already, your brain is tired. And then when you're home, you don't feel like making any decision. And then your spouse will be asking you like, so what should we eat for dinner? And you'll be like, shut up, So for example, right? So how can you
Yeah.
actually have that intellectual space for yourself or take turns with your spouse if both of you are in very high strung environment? Then how do you actually take turns to
Mm,
rest your brain? That's one. And then after that, on the emotional side, then is really how you feel, right? If you feel sad, if you feel tired, if you feel like I don't know what I'm doing, then allow yourself to be okay with that. There are so many clients that make their emotions wrong, and it's very painful to see for me lah. But it's like if you feel sad, if you feel lost, then that's where it is. It's okay and it's normal, and a lot of people feel that way, and people
mm,
don't hear this enough.
mm. Well, I think these are really, really good points to bear in mind. Not just to take care of the physical. I think naturally most of us, what we will do, physically tired, I'll just sleep more, I'll just eat better food, I'll just go
Yeah,
for a massage, right?
yeah,
Yeah, but we don't think about the intellectual side, as you say, and the emotional side, which actually also needs a refilling of that tank and a top up. And I think there is a lot of emphasis, right? That we don't get enough rest, especially as Singaporeans. Not enough sleep, not enough rest. So it's important as professionals to protect our time and to carve out that space for very deliberate rest and relaxation. I'm just also wondering from your experience, have you as you coach individuals to transition, as you're helping them to prepare for something new. What are you noticing from your coaches for those who are successfully doing it and managing this transition and managing this change? What do you notice that they have that maybe other of your coaches they seem to like struggling, right? That maybe because of the missing quality. What are the qualities that you notice that the more successful ones have?
mm. I would say there's the driven and hungry people. The driven and hungry people really run for the opportunities, and they
Mm,
do feel fear as well, but they run. So they are
mm,
action oriented. So I would say that is one of the key things that people can learn more. I myself is also trying to learn that skill set, being action oriented. Uh, yeah, I would say that's one of the key things you need. And the second one is having a clear sense of priority, meaning that in this phase, I want stability, I want this, I want that, I want growth, then I will go after that. Or at this phase, I don't care about stability, I just want growth, I want like high max opportunity. So you can go for risky startups in AI, for example, if that's your risk appetite.
mm,
Yeah, so then
mm,
having that clear sense of priority and really just choosing that for the season.
mm. I really love that because it ties back to what we spoke about earlier, which is a portfolio career, right? Just like how we see an investment portfolio, we go for very safe stocks, we go for very safe
Yeah,
careers. But there is also a season where we should go for more risky type of careers, like or even as the Singapore government is encouraging to work overseas to actually try and do things that are quite out of our comfort zones, right? And sometimes because of the action of doing that and taking that risk in a very deliberate manner, it actually unlocks even more opportunities for us and our own respective careers. So love that approach about thinking it as literally a portfolio, where our investment is actually our time in this case, and also how we choose to invest our resources. So when it comes to you know preparing someone for a new career, and just being able to help them to navigate their own careers. Maybe they are looking for a new job in a totally new field. Maybe they are actually looking for this a similar job in the existing field. I'm just wondering, do you have any advice to people like how they should really read a job description and be very realistic about their probability of success in applying to this role? Because I think what I see as an employer is that people sometimes
Mm,
just blindly apply to roles and then they think they are a fit, but actually not a fit, right?
mm.
So it becomes quite problematic for me as an employer to filter out these candidates. But I'm just wondering from your perspective as a career coach, how should people read the JD and really understand fit? Yeah.
Actually, I kind of feel that this problem does not exist because the JD and people don't see that it's not a fit for them, but they just wanted to try. So that's that part of the problem. But of course, on the other hand, when do you actually put in the extra effort to customize your resume and your cover letter for a certain role, right? Then that's when the you have to really identify that fit in itself. Of course, one of the ways you need to consider is more of like in terms of the stage of the company. So if let's say they are like Notion recently opened in Singapore, right, and they are hiring for sales roles, for example, then in that opportunity in that particular case, they are a well-known enough company with a goal to scale fast. That means this first batch of people need to be experienced, need to be driven. If you do not really have those sales experience and in the soft skill sides, you're not that driven and hungry to grow this, then you're probably not a good fit. So that's one of the way to see where the stage of a company is. Versus like if let's say it is in a mature company and then they are starting a new arm, like an innovation arm, for example, then they need people who are different also. So then that's one of the way you can consider where the company stage is. And then you go into the descriptions of the roles in itself of like how many years of experience they need. Usually you can do a plus minus 3 years. I think that's a fair point. And then after that, the relevant skill sets, they actually make it actually a lot of companies use ChatGPT to do write their JD right now also. So it's actually pretty clean and straightforward about what is necessary for them. So I would say if you are 70-80% fit in that area, you can definitely go for it. But consider the stage of the company and where you are at in terms of what you're trying.
Mm. I think that's really a good angle to really think about because I believe a lot of prospective candidates what they do is like, hey, you know, how awesome would it be if I get this job, right? And how awesome would it be like how my life would change and stuff like that. But very often I don't think a lot of people take a pause and really ask, hey, you know, based on the pace of the company, based on what the company needs, am I suitable for this role, right? And how can I add value? How can I be a good fit to
Mm,
this specific role? And then being very realistic about that and actually understanding, okay, so if I apply for a job over here, I have a maybe 20% chance because maybe I'm not the kind of person that they're looking at, right? Versus like maybe a role that I've done before, I had experience before, I have had been in the industry before, I will have a much bigger chance. So I think people need to be more deliberate in the way they apply for a role, and also be aware, which is also a very similar approach when we coach our own students, how when they do a career transition, we always encourage them, hey, you know, try for an industry that you have worked in before, and not just expect that someone will accept you as a mid-career professional just because you done a course, they will accept you for who you are, right? They will also want to see how you can add value. So being in a similar role, having transferable skill set is very, very important. So I think to just kind of wrap up the conversation, since we're finishing off over here, um, what is one advice you'd like to give to our audience, especially looking for work in 2025? You know, what is one advice you really want to give them? Um, Whether they are transitioning a career, whether they are preparing for a new role, getting promoted, or whether they're still in transition, they don't know what to do. Let's just try and figure things out. What is a advice you would share with these types of audiences?
There are two words that came to my mind. The two words are keep going. So the
Elaborate,
why,
please.
yes, so why I chose these two words, right, is because it's going to be very, very challenging, no matter whether you're in a job or not, whether you're transitioning or not, it's still going to be challenging because everything, a lot of moving pieces at one go, and it's not going to be easy. So it's important that you really, I mean, I will advise people to take stock and pause and see where they are, strategize for the season. Usually I count it as 3 months. So like in these 3 months, what are you going to focus on? In these 3 months, are you going to aim for promotion? In these 3 months, are you going to transit successfully, etc.? So then you can strategize everything such that in that 3 months you can achieve that particular goal. So in these 3 months, I'm going to find a job in this particular industry to be to do product management. Okay, sure, right? Then go after it full force, 100%, and tweak your environment such that it supports you. So then that's when all the keep going is, regardless of when, I mean, if you're in a company, there will be transitions. Your teammates are leaving. So how, right? In these 3 months, are you going to survive? Are you going to thrive? How are you looking to do? Then keep going, and repeat that cycle.
Hmm. I think that makes a lot of sense. You have to keep going. You have to keep a mindset that is open to learning, as you said. And you have to also continue to reskill and upskill yourself in this season, while not ignoring rest, right? And self-care, as you explained throughout the conversation itself. So I believe that these are the strategies that one has to adopt to actually build a fulfilling and a successful career in this day and age, especially when there's so many moving parts, as you said, and so many things that are changing. So I'd like to really thank you, Cadence, for your time that you spent with us and sharing your own experiences as a mid-career professional transitioning, as well as a career coach who is helping tech professionals and mid-career professionals to navigate this layer of uncertainty in our rapidly evolving world. And I think as someone who is also constantly learning new AI skills and being job ready, Cadence is someone who is very curious and does put out her work and her portfolio and shares it quite openly on LinkedIn. So if you're looking to connect with a figure who is walking the talk, you're welcome to connect with Cadence Cheng, CADNCE on LinkedIn itself. And Cadence also teaches at our product management and product marketing and some of our UX classes as well. So you're also welcome to check out some of our courses if you're interested to learn from Cadence. So with that, we shall wrap up the session. Thank you, Cadence, for your time.
Thank you for having me.